Hello, fellow quirky people! With the undeniable success of Avatar: The Way of Water, we've got to talk about every aspect of the film. So far, we've covered plenty of Avatar content on our channel, so be sure to check out the whole playlist. But for now, we'll be answering a couple of questions related to Quaritch in Avatar 2 and how his future has been set up. The Way of Water brought Quaritch back as a clone.
I know you're all asking yourselves the same question. Why so blue?
By now, we all know that the memories of the old Quaritch were synced with a Na'vi body grown specifically for him as a failsafe. As it turned out, he and his special RDA unit ultimately returned as recombinants. But you must have noticed how this recom Quaritch was a bit different from the original. The previous one hated the Na'vi with every fiber in his body. But when recom Quaritch turned into a Na'vi himself, his mind began to open up a bit. Initially, he was just your trademark bad guy with no empathy or care for anyone. But upon returning in his second life, one moment in particular totally changed him and allowed him to grow. And that was when he crushed the skull of his human self. While hunting down Jake Sully, he came across the skeleton of human Quaritch and saw how he failed against Jake and Neytiri. So, he ended up crushing the skull of human Quaritch, which symbolizes what the future holds for him. Apparently, this scene was added in by Stephen Lang himself, and it is of great importance. In an interview with Insider, he revealed, and I quote, "That was a scene that I suggested and I recommended, and James Cameron liked the idea and understood it," unquote. Lang claimed that this scene was used to advance the narrative, but it also allowed recom Quaritch to have an existential moment and deepen the character. The interpretation here is that in this moment, recom Quaritch understood that his old life was long gone. He has to embrace his new life as a Na'vi. That's why he went on to do everything the hard way, just like Jake did. But turning into a Na'vi ironically delivered a much more human version of Quaritch. He was slowly beginning to feel empathy and care for someone. And ultimately, he was the one to surrender against Neytiri when she threatened to kill Spider. After that, Spider saved him when he was lying at the bottom of the ocean. He realized that Quaritch also cared for him, so his moral compass did not allow the recom to die. And maybe in this very moment, he also thought that his father could redeem himself in the future. So, that could be one way forward out of the two ways Quaritch's story arc could continue in Avatar 3. The first possibility is that he could become an anti-hero from here on out. Turning into a Na'vi himself and seeing the good in his son Spider, he could gain empathy towards the Na'vi. James Cameron recently revealed that moving forward, he wants to show the Na'vi in a negative light as well. In a recent interview, he said, and I quote, "I want to show the Na'vi in a different light because so far, I have only shown their good sides. In the early films, there are very negative human examples and very positive Na'vi examples. In Avatar 3, we will do the opposite," unquote. So, Cameron is set to do that by introducing us to the Ash people. Avatar 2 brought us the Water Clan, but now, Avatar 3 is set to bring in a Fire Clan that's close to a volcanic biome. These Ash people will act as the villains of the next film. It will be interesting to see what changes James Cameron introduces with the fiery Na'vi clan. We saw how the bodies of Metcaina have evolved to sustain their ways of water, so the bodies of Ash people might also have evolved in a way that allows them to live around their volcanic surroundings. Even the Way of Water won't work against the Way of Fire, or perhaps I should say the Way of Lava. That's because we can expect them to have weaponized the lava in their surroundings. And who knows, their habitat might also possess some fire-breathing creatures that are just hard to beat. But the point is that by turning into a Na'vi, he could also start to feel a connection with Eywa. And having gained empathy, he could join the forces of Metcaina when they go to war against the Ash people. That's how he could get a redemption arc. And the beginning of this arc happened with the skull-crushing moment. But I don't think this is the way James Cameron will choose to pursue Quaritch's story. After the crimes he has committed against the Na'vi, he does not deserve redemption. Stephen Lang confirmed that Quaritch would be a villain in all 5 Avatar movies, so the possibility of his future story arc should have a darker tone. I believe that he would completely embrace his new Na'vi body by joining the Fire Clan of Ash people. Just like Jake learned the Way of Water, Quaritch will learn the Way of Fire. The brutal Ash people totally fit in with his own persona, so he might find himself completely at home if the Ash people take him in. In fact, Quaritch could even weaponize the Fire Clan by providing them some human resources and weapons. That way, they'd pose a massive threat against the Metcaina. Quaritch would gain the upper hand on Jake and Neytiri once again. And we could get an all-out war between the Metcaina and Ash people. Again, all this began with him crushing his human clone's skull and embracing his Na'vi body. Which way do you think Quaritch's story will tilt? I believe he'll stay a villain, but could he turn into an anti-hero? Tell us your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next one.